Is it my
Right
fault?
now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Because it's time to write now.
All right, and we are live. Welcome to the WriteNow Writers Group. I am so glad to be able to have you guys joining me today. I know as we were getting ready for the show, some of the things that were kind of on our mind was confidence. And I think confidence, goal setting at the beginning of the year, and trying to like get back into the writing mindset. I know like Chris, you're like something you just said that made me laugh. You're like, but 2024 just ended. Like, let's give ourselves like a breather for a moment. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably true.
Need a breather. 2024 was a year, and 2025 doesn't look like it's gonna be bonkers. So let's like give it. I saw a meme that said, "My new year doesn't start till February because January is the trial area." Like, it's the free. January is the free trial. January is the free trial, and my new year doesn't start. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea to put that.
I absolutely like that. I think it is very powerful to be able to give ourselves a break. And this is why everyone knows my motto, or one of my few mottos. I think I clearly have many, but one of my mottos I've tried to adapt is, if you don't feel like writing, write now. Now, the reason I say that is because so many writers end up starting stuff, making excuses, and then stopping. But I also believe in the power of taking a break. And I do believe in mental health. I'm of the mindset, if you need to take a break with intention. Like, don't just be like, hey, I'm going to take a break from writing and then come back in 5 years. I'm like, hey, if you're going to take a break from writing, I know, but that happens to the best of us, right? Sometimes we're not in the right place to be able to write. Like, and that's just the truth. And I'm like, hey, if I'm dealing with some health issues, I got to take a break for 2 months. I'm going to come back in 2 months on March 1st and reevaluate. I think that's more intentional than just backsliding.
Yeah, I think that also comes from knowing who you are and like setting unrealistic expectations for yourself. I'm one of those people who I have that nice dual axis of like, I either way procrastinate too much and I have to race to catch up with whatever deadlines I have, or I like set these really ambitious goals and I get halfway through them and then I just falter and unintentionally fall on my face and take a really long nap. And I think that like one of the important things to do with that, for me anyway, was to be like, okay, like, let's stop. Okay, we write the fiction. Let's not write fiction for our life. Let's be realistic about what we can and can't accomplish. And I found myself like, once I started to do that, I found myself like being way more conscious of the kind of agreements I made with other people and with myself, and like just starting to understand how much realistically I could get done in a day. And once I began to like kind of prioritize things and like, okay, you only have to, like with Love Spell Murders, I'm going through that right now. And I was like, you only have to edit 1 chapter a day. And I found out it took me like 3 or 4 days, but I finally shifted it to my first thing in the morning. And then my afternoons were kind of freed up to do the rest of the stuff that I had been prioritizing, which weren't actual priorities. So like, yeah, I think that intentional is important. Taking a break is important. I do tend to take them at random though. It's like, okay, I've had enough, but like, I also try to cap it. So like, because I was always the kid that cried when the sleepover was over. Like, I was always having
I want more sleep.
fun. But yeah, I didn't want the party to end, man. I was like, I feel like that my whole life. So it's like, I kind of, to get myself back into work, I really have to tempt myself with some sort of like cookie or cupcake to, not an actual, well, those work too, but like,
Just
you know,
like imagining you have like a cookie jar next to your like computer.
No, I have Reese's right next to me sometimes, and I'm like, it just keeps going, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I have to put it away.
Mm-hmm.
I have to put it away because it will not be pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, social media is kind of like Reese's, it's kind of like candy, right? Because if you are the type who you like social media, first off, it's very easy to go onto Instagram, TikTok, sometimes Facebook, whichever platform that you prefer, Pinterest. But regardless of what platform that you prefer, it's very easy to go on and then just start mind scrolling.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that's a really bad
Mhm.
habit for me. I'll find myself like 10 minutes later, I'm still just scrolling through pictures of cats and weird poetry quotes and like,
The cat videos get me all the time.
yeah,
Uh,
they're like Reese's. Those are the Reese's,
endless,
right?
endless. Well, we all just need to laugh sometimes, and they just provide such comedy. You
They
don't
do.
even
That is true.
they don't even need to do anything. You just put a camera on and they're funny.
Yeah.
Even if you just let them look at the lens in the camera, that's it. You don't need to have them do anything. And sometimes their look on their face is just stupid.
It's just
Well,
great. Yes.
I know we definitely have a lot of cat and dog lovers in the community, and I would love to hear more about that. I want to check in with everyone in the chat and see how everyone is doing. But first, welcome to the Right Now community. I'm Kaufman. I'm on that mission to help the writers of the world with the process, mindset, and lifestyle that it takes to be an author. So we're starting today. We're going to chat about apparently writing confidence, cat, and writing breaks, procrastination, motivation. How is everyone feeling in the new year? We're going to be doing that and more. We'll generally do 2 writing sprints on the back end. So stick around. If you really need to get some writing done, make sure you come join us. We're going to do a couple writing sprints in just a little bit after we kind of like get into that like writing mindset. I know once I start talking to these guys, I'm like, all right, I'm pumped, ready to go. Take Scarecrow on a journey and try to beat Chat Soul on the word count for the day. And let me first welcome everyone to the stream. Megan, welcome. ML, glad to have you in here. Let's see. Bethany, welcome back, my friend. Glad to have you back in here. And Lynn, what's up? And Tiara, love seeing all you guys here in the chat. Trying to make sure I caught everyone. Wonderful. Okay, so let me bring everyone back up into the stream. Welcome back, my friends. So I can see that we have a couple of good conversations going on there. I'm going to check in on the chat, but first, for any of our new members who are just joining the stream, who are you? And we'll keep it interesting this week. What if you could who's your let's see, what's a good one? What's the next like book, TV series or movie that you're looking forward to checking out? I know for me, Last of Us season 2.
Oh, that's coming out this year?
Yeah, it's in a couple months.
Yeah. The
I'm
trailers
excited for April because One Piece is coming back, and
Is that the
we're in the
show?
Egghead arc and getting ready for Elbaf. So
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
The big one is probably Wicked Part 2 for me, and Ghosts, the TV show, or The Neighborhood is always fun for me to watch. So those are the 2 that I make a frequently.
I enjoyed Wicked. I enjoyed the first part. I think I was still a fan of the musical more, but the movie was decent. It was all right.
The movie made me cry. So it was some stuff I needed to release, and every single time I'm on TikTok or something and someone starts playing Defying Gravity, I just get choked up. So I'm just apparently still need some stuff I need to release.
I love the cinematography. The cinematography and the way that they did Defying Gravity was probably the strongest part of the movie.
I mean, still liked it all.
Awesome. So I know, let's see here in the chat, everyone, it looks like is chilling and happy for the new year. I know I had a good question. Let's see. Pew pew. I know Lynn said, hope anyone in LA is okay with the fires. Hope
We're doing okay
all
so
our friends.
far. Well, I am. I'm doing okay so far. Other people are not, but I am.
How is it? How is it out there?
I mean, the winds are not as crazy today. They were crazier this morning. Now that I say that, now the winds are going to start picking up. But I mean, from what I saw earlier today, there is no containment on any of the fires. So I don't know. I see blue skies, but I feel like what's happening is I'm in the middle of the city or a part of the city, and I feel like I'm in a blue pocket where all the smoke is kind of around me. So I'm like in like the center of the donut.
I think it's also important to note, though, that where the fires are at Pacific Palisades, that entire area, to get to that area, you kind of have to go over the hill in a sense, which you're like going down that rocky canyon, and then you're going along the whole coastline. So
Did you-
every single time you like go to the beach area, every single time you head to Santa Monica, you're kind of like going into another area.
But did you not see we have like 5 fires going right now?
Jeez.
I know there's a lot. No, I know there's
Palisades-
definitely a lot.
Palisades is that way. There's some
Mhm.
Pasadena one is over there. There's another one up behind me. So it's like there's like 5 of them all around me, and I'm just like but the wind carries the smoke, seems to be carrying the smoke away from me enough, but who knows? I could be breathing it.
It's just crazy that you guys are dealing with fires at this time of the year.
I know none of us were. I
Mhm.
mean, as far as I knew, we weren't expecting it, but I saw something else that apparently someone was expecting it last week. So I don't know. But what are you gonna do?
So I think that's a good note. Lynn, thanks for the shout out. Anybody, any of our other writers who may be in Los Angeles or the LA area, stay safe. Absolutely stay safe. And if you're unaffected, then, and this was interesting for me when I was living. I want to say it's about 6 months ago. I was in the same position with that LA is in now, except we had 5 fires that were literally within miles of us. And like there was one day where I walked outside and we literally like saw things falling from the sky, and it was ash. It was ash and things like it. We were literally that close. We were on the alert status. But I'm here in this like in my own little bubble of the internet, and I literally just go back inside and I just feel inspired to write more on Scarecrow since it's a post-apocalyptic world. I'm like, wow, I feel motivated.
It's weird how
Prepared if I have to
motivated
leave, and hope everyone's safe, but still motivated. So I thought that was interesting. I know when we were talking about breaks, Lynn's like, I usually take 2 weeks off between books. Megan, I've been taking a break from my fanfic for a bit after a busy weekend. Tiara, I take breaks from serious things by writing fan fiction. Fan fiction is the break. I see a soul over here. You're laughing.
Yeah.
Last of Us fanfics, because it's all the willpower I have. Oh, there's I'm sure there's some great Last of Us fanfics. I could totally say that. Susan, saw you hop in here as well. Welcome, my friend. Let's see. And we got some excitement for some shows coming up. Stitch, I think the Lilo and Stitch, the live action.
Mm-hmm.
The next Avatar I see is later this year.
Yeah, the next
Mufasa.
Avatar is gonna be interesting. I saw a leak
Mhm.
where the Avatar, she's a Earthbender, and supposedly she has prosthetic legs. So we actually have a disabled Avatar, which will be interesting.
That'll be. You know what? I wonder if Bethany might have been referring to James Cameron.
That'll actually be very interesting to see.
Because
That
I'm
actually
pretty
does
sure
not come
I'm
out
pretty
until
sure Avatar
26.
is 20 slated for December. Is it 26 or 25?
26.
26. Gotcha. And then we have the last Airbender show. Is that really this year?
Mhm.
Damn, that's cool. It's been a second.
I think it's
since
supposed to
we
be like in
went
the
on
fall or something.
that's awesome. Very, very cool. Let's see, Narnia. Hopefully the new live action Narnia is cool. Same with Harry Potter. Hopefully the remakes are actually good and not just horrible garbage. That will be a nice plus. I'll watch them all because I enjoy seeing if they can readapt things and bring it to a newer audience. Let's see.
They can't. Just kidding.
Hey, there's been some out there that have been not half bad, so give them a chance.
They can't. Nope, they can't.
No free trial for you.
Nope, they can't.
I feel that way about some of my beloved children's classics that they try to redo, and I'm just like, nah.
Not really. What would you guys say is the best adaptation you've ever seen?
A book
And
to
why?
movie or a remake of a movie?
Your call. Your
Ooh.
pick. We'll just say any adaptation,
That
whether
narrows it down.
I mean, I don't know if there's any movies that go to books after. I mean,
There
it's
is.
like
Lady Hawk actually was a movie.
Really?
And yeah, because I found the book and I was
the
like,
movie
oh,
came
cool.
out first.
Yeah, no. Like I found
Oh,
the book and I was like, oh, cool. Like they made this is based on a book that somebody had written, and I'm reading it. I'm like, this reads just like the movie. So I did a little digging, and yeah, they actually they retrofit it to be the movie, which was really good adaptation of the book, or I'm sorry, of the movie. Yeah, I love the
I'm
movie.
honestly not going to count holes because literally It was exactly like the book, but the only difference
Mm-hmm.
was the main character wasn't heavy set in the beginning, and that was literally because the director did not want to put a kid through that kind of a change, which was awesome of him. So I'm not going to count that, but I think One Piece did really well, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan.
Are you talking about to the animated series?
The live action.
You're talking about the live action.
The live action One Piece.
It actually did well for an anime. Like usually anime adaptations, anime adaptations and video game adaptations notoriously struggle. They like stay on the struggle.
They butcher it. They usually butcher it.
And I think it's because it's for different audiences, right? I think video games, there's a different expectation for gamers. Same with people who read manga and comic books. And then anime, it's just different audiences. So when you bring it to a different format, there's different expectations and challenges. And I mean, like did you guys both see the One Piece Netflix show? It's done very interestingly. It feels like
the
it serves the
changes in
world.
it actually made sense.
It does feel like it serves the world, but it still has the elements of it. But then I know earlier in the year they did was it Cowboy Bebop? I forgot. It was another anime show that Netflix. I think it was Cowboy Bebop. But
I loved Cowboy Bebop. I didn't mind the remake.
I'm pretty sure the reaction was lukewarm, was mixed. Hence, I don't think it got picked up for a second season. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think of adaptations. I think still Last of Us for me seems to be up there. I mean, we'll argue Game of Thrones until. I mean, technically, all the Game of Thrones adaptations were done correctly from what was actually in the books and printed. So technically,
what was the Amazon one they did post-apocalyptic, and it was
Fallout.
Fallout.
Yeah, I've heard
Fallout
a lot of good things about that.
Fallout did do pretty well. I didn't
play the game though.
I only watched.
I didn't really play the game too much, but
I only watched it. I never played it, so I don't know.
I played a little bit of the game. I think I got 3/4 of the way through before I got distracted by other games, and I watched a few of the episodes, and it wasn't half bad for someone who can't really stand the kind of horror type stuff. I was actually able to withstand watching that, and it was pretty good from what I did see. I just haven't gotten back into it mainly because, like, I think about the time I started watching it, like when it came out, I think that's about the time I started helping out with the community, really. So I didn't really get a lot of time to actually devote to sitting there and watching it.
The one that's really big, I liked the first movie that they did, but then everything after just seems to be a mess. But I don't know how the games went. It was it's the zombie apocalypse one.
Walking Dead?
No.
Last of Us.
No.
Last of Us, right? No. Another zombie one?
It was like 10 years ago. It's been going on for like 20 years. It's the
that's The Walking Dead.
No, the Umbrella one.
Yeah, okay, with Mila Jovovich.
It's
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil.
Yeah. That first movie was awesome. I never played the game, but I tried to have a marathon with a friend, and we were like, this is just getting weird. And we just kind of stopped at like number 3.
Well, I think the challenge with something like Resident Evil is the storyline in the games is very like mixed because it's more about killing zombies. So the first Resident Evil movie was a great action adventure zombie film. And the second one worked as well, but then they've gone on the series of series, and it's just done all right. So I mean, it kind of depends. I know I saw some other great call outs here.
TV series they did of that was horrible.
What was that?
The TV series they did of Resident Evil was horrible.
Yeah, it just wasn't. It wasn't very good.
I was like, I didn't say that, but it's horrible.
I know there was some love here for Cobra Kai. I loved Cobra Kai. Like, what an interesting thing to take an original movie and then take the antagonist and do a series following the antagonist, which worked very, very well. I think the character journey was done well enough. Cobra Kai was definitely fun, and especially they had the new Karate Kid movie coming out later this year.
There's another one?
Yeah, but now it's kind of like a sequel to the show now, because now it's like the characters from the show and them teaching a new generation, it sounds like.
They kind of did that with Hilary Swank. As soon as Hilary Swank got in on it too, it was almost kind of like a reboot at that point.
I do have to
You're
agree
gonna
with
remember that one? Am I
Wait,
the
which
only
one?
one? The one with Hilary Swank and Mr. Miyagi, the Karate Kid with. It is old.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that one. I know there were a bunch of sequels.
Yeah, I think that was the last one they did with a different character, and then they put it down until Cobra Kai came out. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but that's kind of what.
I would have to agree with the chat here, though. I would say Interview with a Vampire. Interview
Dude,
with a Vampire. The
I
TV
just-
show was pretty awesome. I've
So
been
much.
enjoying Interview.
For those of you whoever said that, I missed the comment, but whoever said that, what do you think about the Mayfair Witches too?
Well, it's interesting because Mayfair, the new season just launched.
Well, it's also,
Mayfair.
but I just still wonder, like, how did the book fare to the TV series? I never watched it or listened to it.
I think with Interview with a Vampire, I think what works with Interview was the original movie. It was an entertaining action movie. The one that came out many, many years ago with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, but it did change a lot of the source material. It wasn't true because it's more focused around the stars. What the TV show does well is it serves the LGBT nature of the characters very well. That follows the core characters in the original story. They're all immortal vampires, and they are more than just. It's just the way they follow the relationship dynamics in this show is done very well, and I think you can feel that with the character journeys. And it's very fun. So definitely looking forward to the next season of the Interview with a Vampire, which follows Lestat as a rock star. And like the trailer they put out for it was actually really entertaining.
What
Resident,
stream channel is it
Resident
on?
Donkey is funny.
What was that?
What
Resident-
stream channel is the interview thing on? The Interview with the
I wanna say
Vampire?
it's AMC.
AMC.
Yeah,
AMC,
AMC. It's like one of those off stream ones. But then I would say Mayfair was like mixed. I wouldn't say Mayfair was horrible, but it wasn't as good as Interview was. It's kind of just like goes into that like mediocre range of a bunch of witch shows, which have been very predominant.
I enjoyed it.
predominantly
It just
popular.
felt slow.
You said it felt slow.
I
I
enjoyed it.
felt
It just felt slow.
I
Yeah.
felt the same way about the books. Like I read up to Ramses the Damned in the Interview with the Pam, because I mean she did a bunch of books in that universe, and she followed different vampires around. I don't know how many there are that are actually Interview with the Vampire books, but they were all like riveting. I devoured those, and then I got to the Mayfair Witches, and I was like, not as sexy or something. I don't know. Like it just couldn't get into it as much. I was a big fan of Lestat and Louis though. So Louis, all right, I liked Louis better. And then I read the Vampire Lestat, and then I liked him better.
Penelope, you had some love here. Chandler, what's up, man? You're like, who even knows Lady Hawk anymore? I love that.
The first thing I thought of when you said
Funny thing.
Lady Hawk was, oh my god, my mom tried to make me watch that. But she couldn't find it when she wanted me to see it.
I was going to say, if you read the book, you don't have to deal with the soundtrack.
I know the sound. I'm pretty sure Lady Hawk was an 80s movie, right? I'm pretty sure
Yeah, it was an 80s. It was in that sweet 80s fantasy like renaissance where they had just so many cool fantasy movies. I mean, like it was a great time to be a kid.
What was the one? What was the other fantasy movie that followed? What was it? Not The Hobbit, but the midget character. And I'm
Willow.
trying to remember. It was like in 80s or 90s, and they did a
Willow.
remake of it. Willow. It was like Willow, Labyrinth, bunch of fantasy movies.
Dark Crystal was
I
the
didn't-
bomb.
I didn't get the Labyrinth. Everyone's like, it's amazing. And I watched it, and I'm like, I don't get this. I didn't get it. I don't get it.
I did. I don't
No.
know. I
I
like
have
Jim
friends-
Henson's imagination.
I
a
have
lot.
friends that love it, and I'm just like, I don't
Mhm.
get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. So you
Um,
have yours. I'll have mine over here. So,
I can appreciate that. Yeah, I think that yeah, there's definitely some interest. Like Jim Henson with the Labyrinth did something really interesting, which was an exploration of like that being a teenager on the like somewhere in between childhood and adulthood.
See, and maybe I need to rewatch it again because I was watching
Mm-hmm.
it from a different perspective. But now that I'm older, maybe I should try it again. But when I first watched it, I was like, "What is this? Like, why? I don't."
What is
I think that's actually true with a lot of movies. Is when you watch them when you're younger, you have this one view of it, but then you get older and you rewatch it, and it's like
You rewatch it.
I watched it.
I felt that way when I did Never Ending Story. I loved it when I was really young, and then I rewatched it when I was older. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Another one.
I
think it was,
watched.
Page Master or something like that. I'm trying to.
Oh.
I
That's
remember
what it
that.
was.
I watched Labyrinth as an adult, but I'm still just like I didn't. And
That
then
might be it. That might be yeah.
Yeah, true. And the Never-Ending Story, I thought the horse did not leave us so soon. I remember that some horse scene very much later in the movie, and then when I rewatched, it was like, ooh, I like as a child I was emotionally connected to the horse, and now as an adult I was like, oh, that was it.
Yeah. I think that when you're younger and you don't have as many experiences, fantasy movies like create this space for you that is just like so completely different than anything you've experienced. And like it's really kind of, I mean, childhood is just that magical time where everything is just first introduced to you anyway, and Santa Claus still exists and there's still magic in the world, and it's almost like a believability and an ability to, like, what do they call that? Like you can I'll remember it in 5 minutes, but like, yeah, it's easier for you to like feel like there's magic in the world. I think when you're younger, I think we lose that as an adult, which sucks. And then you go back and rewatch these movies and it's like,
I grew up
I think most people lose it. I do think there are some people out there that do manage to keep it. It's just like in a different way.
I grew up Mormon. I was very sheltered, so half the movies all you guys have seen I haven't seen. So I'm playing catch up as an adult. So that's probably why I lose it.
that's all right.
So this actually makes me think of something really good. So when we think about writing and we think about classic movies, just go early 2000s, 90s, 80s, that time period of cinema. Which movies do you guys think stand the test of time? Are like still, even after a rewatch, like it's still a good movie, and why? I would say that one of my favorite movies, which I think stands the test of time, you still rewatch and it's good, is Princess Bride. It's just
they remake that. If they remake that,
they'll remake it in 10 years.
No.
They remake everything. I'm sure they'll remake
No.
Like, not allowed. Fans revolt.
No. Don't even give them the idea. Don't even give them the idea.
Don't even put it out there.
Leave it alone. Sorry,
Megan agrees with you. Like, don't touch Princess Bride.
Right.
Leave it alone. Leave it alone. I know you want to. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Come up with your own ideas. Go do something magical.
It's kind of funny because I know I lost the comment, but somebody said earlier, why does Hollywood do so many remakes and so many why don't they do new things?
It's because they've seen what works and they think it's going to rework again if they try to rework it for a newer audience, and they fail to understand that yes, we like seeing things that we've seen before, just like, readers, we like reading things we've read before, but you have to learn how to change it enough to make it feel new rather than basically being a cookie cutter.
And I think this is the challenge as an adaptation. What is change enough? Because some things changed drastically, some things kept the same. The original Dune movie, for anyone who watched the original Dune, was a direct copy of the book. Some argue it's a cult classic, some argue it's very difficult to get through, but it depends on expectation, right? I would say what I liked about Last of Us was they adapted a lot of the source material, but changed enough where it still enhanced the story.
To bounce off of Soul's comment about adapting and all this stuff, it's actually also comes down to money. Yes, it's all money, and especially now that we're in the space of we're not sure where the entertainment industry is. They don't know what will sell. They don't know how to get their money back. They're going to go into an IP that's already proven itself instead of saying, "Oh, let's do Mrs. Doubtfire," even though we're not in the '90s, kind of a thing.
Right.
So it's right now it's what they want to stay afloat.
Mm-hmm.
They know that Twilight will make money, so they're going to remake Twilight.
Yeah. And I mean, it comes down to what people spend money on, right? So if a studio is spending millions of dollars on a movie that's a brand new idea that hasn't been tested before, there's a very high risk factor. Now, if they give that movie to someone like Steven Spielberg, they know it'll probably most likely be a good movie.
All of this being said, there are millions of writers in my city, and we all have ideas, and we're all saying the same thing. Just to let everyone know, we all have different ideas, but the people with suits and ties are the ones that are saying we have the money. That's why you're getting all of the same stuff.
Okay.
I don't think they're as connected with people, with the viewers, as much as they think they are. And that's where, and it's not really even like, I mean, yeah, you're right. It comes down to money, but I think it really just comes down to how connected are they with viewers? How much do they really know what we want and what we don't want? Because I mean, yeah, there's thousands of people, there's millions of people out there, but
I mean, I think the challenge though is people, the average viewer, doesn't care about an extremely great experience. Most viewers want minimum quality that they will then subscribe to a streaming service for. I guarantee everybody here and most people in the chat are probably subscribed to at least 1, 2 maybe streaming services or family there. And as long as they keep coming and we stay subscribed, we're technically paying the money.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
It sucks, but that's where we're in with
it still
streaming.
that actually sucks more though, because there's so many shows that get canceled that were actually good.
I know.
I have 2 things to say. I want to go back to the first thing right quick. And so you were talking about like reinventing ideas. So I've heard this. I didn't actually follow the comic books, so I don't know this for sure, but I heard this from a huge nerd. So like Superman dies every 20 years, right? Superman, you know,
just like fashion. Just like fashion.
Yeah.
And then it comes back 20 years later.
And comes back 20 years
and then it all comes back. It's just a cycle.
Right. Well, right. But like, so Superman dies at the end of like every generation, and he is remade for a new generation every time. That's how the comic book industry has been able. They understand their audience. They're writing for nerds. They are nerds. You know, they understand each other, and they weren't operating within a giant corporate entertainment industry, so they could kind of get away with being more in touch with what their audience wanted. And they knew that every 20 years the fashions would change, and they would have to change with it. And then 20 years later, they could recycle like his shorts or whatever. But anyway, I'm just trying to pull the two together. So they knew their audience well enough to know that they knew they had to adapt. They're still making Superman comic books, but they know that their audience changes with every generation because he's been around since the 20s or 30s, right? Second thing is one of the things that I was watching a writer talk about the other day was this movie called Severed, or this TV series called Severed. And he's like, it's amazing. And none of you have ever heard of it. And he was talking about how many different streaming services are out there, and they all have different shows. And not a lot of people are subscribing to Apple Plus. But Apple Plus is coming out with some amazing shows, right? But nobody's seen them
Apple Plus is throwing a lot of money. Apple Plus strategist is throwing a lot of money at high-end talent. You can tell
that's because Apple has the money.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they work, right?
They don't care if you're watching it. They just have the money, and they're just
so they're making some amazing shows. And then you have places like Netflix that'll have one amazing series of a show, but unless billions of people like it, it gets canceled after a season. Like there's only a couple of shows that have made it through to the Squid Game, got turned into a second season, and they basically just remade the first season. Then there was a Witcher, which lost its lead character, and whoever, you know, the king of nerds, Henry Cavill, and like they still kept going because it was so popular at the beginning.
And I think that Netflix realizes though that to retain subscribers, they don't need to make shows last till the end, because once a show gets past season 2, 3, 4, actors' contracts expire, and then they ask for more money. So it actually saves the money to just go do something new, with the exception of tentpole shows like Stranger Things, right? Of which we're getting the last season.
Which is why I got rid of Netflix.
I don't as a viewer, like if I like a show that has I don't need, everybody's looking for the big money bank. the big piggy bank that you break it open and it's just, the money's going to fly out there. I want to see better quality shows out there that I can get into and enjoy without people behind it going, give me your money, Penelope. I really would like to see like some sort of like art house movement, or like, or at least Apple, who's like, we don't care if you're watching, we're going to make some great TV. Sign up for the free trial and come check it out. And then you can cancel, no problem, you know, like, but yeah, I mean, there's some really good stuff out there that, you know, is hidden simply because there's so many different streaming services.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's because the market is crowded, right, with streaming services. So even the ones who are indie, they might create one cool show, but they can't compete against the library of Disney Plus, Apple, Netflix. And because we're already tired from all the streaming services, why am I going to try a new streaming service? Oh, it's indie. They have one interesting show, but I watch it in one weekend. Now what's next?
Yeah.
Another reason why I canceled Netflix, because there's just too much crap. I mean, I can't watch all of it, and I'm just like, I have other things I need to do, so I will deal with my Paramount just because I have access to it, and Disney Plus.
I'm kind of curious, how do you guys think it's going to change? Because we've been in the streaming era for about, what, 20 years now? A little over 20 years. It's been about 15 years since you could say the streaming wars really kind of hit a standstill.
It'll coagulate. I mean, there's just the basic pendulum swings back and forth, dissipate, and then it'll coagulate again. Like something will happen, and they'll start packaging.
I think something will disrupt.
I think that would be.
Services.
I think that I hope that's what happens, because, I mean, like otherwise, like
it's already. I mean,
there's just too much going on. Is there? Okay.
My guess is it's AI is what disrupts. Streaming.
Technically, it's already happening. Partly from that, but also they're bringing back commercials. They're going back to what it was 20 years ago.
I miss jingles. Yeah. I'll take it. I'll take commercials if they have like really well thought out jingles.
Yeah, well, my kid has discovered what we all grew up with, that commercials are annoying.
Yeah.
Sometime last year, he actually asked me, Dad, why is this playing? I don't want to see this. And I'm like, oh, you sweet child. I cannot.
They're annoying when you're in the present moment, but I have tapes that I could watch, and I'm like, oh, that commercial was awesome.
Yeah. I loved commercials.
How did we advertise like 25 years ago?
Bring that back too.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was.
I'm with Megan. They take too long.
Well, okay, so the way that they do them now is also way different. Like I live with my parents. My dad watches CNN in the morning, and it's like 2 seconds of whatever Trump's doing, and then like a commercial, 5 commercials for like hemorrhoid cream, and then 2 seconds of like, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then like 5 more. It's like this, like that much news and that much, you know. And I'm like, back in the day, you'd get to like 10 whole minutes of TV, and you got to cute little, like, and they were for kids. It was like kid toys or kid candy or things like that. And you're like, oh my God, I want that. That sounds amazing. And then you go bug your parents about it, and they were like, go get a job. And I'm like, no, you know. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it used to be fun. It used to be more like, just the way that television was presented used to be a lot more playful, and everybody just now, it seems like it's infomercials. It's infomercials.
I think it's also big. They also recognize that who their audience is, who actually still watches cable news, is that older generation, because I think the majority of the younger generation, like I know myself, I get news from online news sources. I get it from different sources in different areas, because I like to stay as informed as possible. And I think that's generally the same. I think the majority of a lot of the younger generations tend to probably get news from social media. I mean,
I know my mom's biggest complaint is she doesn't have live TV. She doesn't have cable anymore. So she can't go and see the news anymore, even though I've tried to show her like 20 different places she can find it. And she's still like, I want to see this on my TV. And it's like, I don't really know how to help you without you subscribing to something nowadays. And
yeah. And don't even get me started on what the 24-hour news cycle did to honesty in reporting, or like, you know, money did to news either. I'm really upset about this. Like, I can't watch the news for that reason, because it's just I mean, if we like back in the before times, you'd sit down to watch the 6 o'clock news and you get all your
Mhm.
updates at once, right? It was like we have an hour to shove everything into, your eyeballs, and then go. And now they've got like this. It's this constant stream of information. They got to find filler. And I mean, like, how much integrity can you, as a news source, have if you're constantly looking for filler for 20 different channels,
What's this TV show that you're talking about? The news? I've never heard
Yeah, it's
Kevin said this too. News is all about entertainment these days,
well,
right?
Fox News isn't even like they have to call themselves an
I
entertainment.
know, you could
channel.
argue whether Fox News is news or not.
No, I think they have to call themselves an entertainment channel. No, let me look it up, but I'm pretty sure
legally.
I think she's actually right.
Yeah.
because they can't because the truthiness is not so.
So I'm kind of curious. So from like a writing perspective, what types of like content do you guys want to see more of? Whether it's news, whether it's storytelling, whether it's TV, movies, books, what do you guys want to see?
I always like what A24 puts out. They're a cool little they do
I
some
like
really cool flicks.
A24 stuff.
So
A24, like other studios, is successful because they keep making stuff, whether or not it's good or not. Which once again, it's consistency.
The one thing that I'm actually looking forward to this year is the next movie they have coming out, which has Paul Rudd and that chick from Wednesday in it, and it's called The Death of a Unicorn, and it looks like this horror. Yeah, it looks so good. Yeah, so I like stuff like that.
I just want to go back to the old WB days. I want to watch old WB stuff and just bring all of that stuff back. Give me some
like that type of like core, like mindless, like cartoon.
Not even cut. It's just give me Buffy, give me Charmed, give me Smallville, give me Dawson's Creek, give me Felicity, give me the weird teen shows, give me the Teen Network. I just want the Teen Network, and I'll be fine. I just want that again. Like, I mean, Wishbone wasn't.
I'd honestly like to see like improvement on kids shows. Like Adventure Time was really good, Steven Universe was good, Owl House was good, because they were kids shows, but they also had, older problems said in ways that kids could understand. That and a mix of Toonami.
I liked Adult Swim. Like
Gravity Falls.
I love Gravity Falls.
Was awesome.
Gravity Falls was amazing.
Apparently they were supposed to do, I heard something like this past summer, they were going to do a continuation of that where like Dipper and Mabel were supposed to be like in their teens or something, like 15 or 16 or something. So I don't know how true that was, but
Phineas and Ferb is coming back. We'll see how that goes. Because Animaniacs
that actually is coming back.
Phineas and Ferb is coming back. Yes, they're doing the second summer, but I'm concerned because the reboot of Animaniacs was not great.
Oh, they rebooted Animaniacs, and it was
on Hulu. It was okay. They tried, but it was like not the same.
First came out kind of felt like a reboot of the Looney Tunes in the first place. So, but it was awesome. But it was so like in touch with kids, like what kids wanted out of the TV show. So it was like just an extension of like, Looney Tunes, but for me, and then like, yeah. And
Looney Tunes is still stuck in my head.
Oh yeah. Okay, wanted to talk about something that holds up. Bugs Bunny. Been around since the 40s.
Most of those
can still cook. Can still cook.
You're right. A lot of those tunes do hold up.
Not all of them.
Oh yeah, Tiny Toons. That's the one I was thinking of. They're tiny, they're toony. We're all a little loony.
And in this cartooning, we're invading your TV.
It's still stuck in my head. It's
Jingles.
Still
Jingles. I'm telling you, Jingles.
Still in there.
Muppet Babies. Anybody?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Muppet Babies.
Muppet Babies.
Which will never be seen ever again.
Scooby is still out and they're still trying new things and it's really weird.
I have one that's going to be kind of dark, or not dark, but like in a deep cut. Did anybody remember Mighty Max?
You said which one?
Mighty Max.
Mighty Max. I don't think so.
I don't
Sounds
remember.
vaguely familiar. What channel did it play on?
I don't even remember. It was this kid who had a magic hat.
Oh God, yes. Not a
It-
lot of them, but like it looks familiar. Yeah.
The hat had to open portals, and it was like kind of like it was in that Carmen San Diego area. Where they
Okay.
would travel to different
Maybe.
countries.
Maybe.
It was
Uh,
fun. It was fun.
Dungeon-
Mighty Max was a fun one.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Made me late to
Mhm.
school plenty of times.
I used to watch the Gummy Bears, My Little Pony, Glowworm. That's what made me
Mhm.
late. That's what was playing when I was eating my cereal when I was a kid.
I can even go an even deeper cut. Peter Pan and the Pirates.
Mm-mm. What about okay, Dungeons and Dragons, the one where they hopped on the ride at the beginning and then they went into the past? No, okay.
I think I've seen clips of it from TikTok recently, but I've
Okay.
never seen the show.
Oh, yeah. It was. I had to look it up because I thought I Mandela affected myself and made it up in my head, but it's a real thing.
Maybe you did.
Maybe I did. Maybe I imagined it and then.
Inspector Gadget, yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
God, I remember that. I like vaguely remember like some kind of weird dream.
We're definitely getting some absolutely great shows here. So like I see so many shows, right? We've mentioned so many different styles of shows that really resonated. And what I'm curious is, what was it because of the way that it made you feel at the time? Was it because you connected with a character? Was it because there's like the stories? I'm like, what about these shows resonated with us? Because I think that's what we can take away into our own writing, right? Like, how do we get people to keep reading our books? We want them to feel something. And I think,
this is something I think just came up for me in my morning pages, and this is
Mhm.
very interesting. And it might be a little bit more of like a part 1, part 2 when we get there, if we get there. But for me, growing up as a gay man or a gay boy, I guess, in Bubble, Utah, with Mormonism and all that stuff, I was gravitating toward these magic things because I wanted to be special. I wanted to be someone different. And now what's interesting, what came up is in my morning pages, I think I'm having a hard time getting into my writing of Duncan because I'm scared, because my story called Duncan, a Gay Teenage Witch, it's a series like Sabrina the Teenage Witch. He's gay, but all of his friends know, his parents are cool with it. He's 13. He's just going to be living life. And I think there's a part of me that is scared to touch that because part of jealousy maybe, or like I don't recognize that world. So can I write that world? Like it's just kind of there's a little bit of something there. But to go back to your old question, I think it's just more of I wanted to experience something different than what I was experiencing from where I was actually living. So
That makes sense.
I'm kind of curious, Chris, is the fear of it that it feels like you don't like understand the world enough, or is it like lack of, I don't know if I understand the world, or is it I don't know if I can truly write the world effectively that I started out to?
I just think it's more of a scared of revisiting some old traumas that
Interesting.
It's not even going to be traumas because it's not going to be traumatic. It's all the story is very much so written so that gay is not a bad thing to be. Not, and it's not. And there a lot of people were like, make the witch thing a parallel. And I'm like, no, that's been done. We've seen that already. We're moving on. And so I think that part of it is just me like reliving, trying to be a more comfortable person. And it's one of those things to where in order to make change in your own current life, you have to kind of accept the past. And I'm wondering if there's a part of me that has not accepted my past, kind of a thing. I don't know. It's a whole mental thing that's going on in my head right now.
That's really, really powerful, Chris. Thank you for sharing that first off. And I think I pose this question to the rest of you. In your writing, is there anything that's like caused you like a deal of like fear, anxiety, or like negative emotions where like, hey, I have to work through this, or maybe I'm going to write through this with my characters? I know for me personally, there is a couple moments where I've been writing Scarecrow, and in the rough draft, it wasn't there, but in the second draft, I've created this magic hat dynamic where maybe the hat's what brought him to life, maybe it wasn't. But I go through a series of psychology of interiority in his head, of him wondering, if I lose this hat, I'm not going to be alive anymore. And it causes what?
Frosty the Snowman.
A little bit. So I did
I've
that very
heard-
intentionally
I've
because people
thought
have that
that too.
expectation. I did that very intentionally. But the way that it affects Scarecrow is he has anxiety attacks from the
Mhm.
idea of like, oh, what if this hat burns? Or what if I lose it while he's trying to navigate this world? And dealing with the anxiety for the character then has made me think about my own anxiety and things that I've dealt with, anxiety attacks throughout my life, and understanding like, okay, is this right now? I feel like I'm in a good place, but that could always change based on where I'm at in life. And it could definitely caused a lot of reflection on my part for sure.
I'm looking at the comments. Galaxy High. What was Galaxy High?
That
Thank you,
sounds like
Chandler.
really familiar.
Thank you, Chandler, for your cheers.
I know we were definitely getting some really, really good shows in here. I know Lynn said I always end up dealing with my workplace trauma while writing, and I usually end up tearing up, which I totally understand that, guys. Like I work customer service for 15 plus years. Coffee culture, as you guys know, what people are like in coffee shops. And especially dealing with coworkers. I'm sure we've all dealt with coworkers at one point in time. You can have great coworkers. You can have traumatic coworkers, but you still got to work there unless you can quit. So I think dealing with like workplace stuff is can be challenging at times. So I can definitely resonate with that. And
I used to work for the creative department of a certain department store, and I cannot shop there anymore just because I'm like, I just can't. It wasn't bad. I just can't do it anymore.
you know,
just needed to move on. I just needed to move on from it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, go to the store. I'm like, no, been there, done that. We can go to a different store. They have a competitor. I'll go there instead.
I think that for me, like one of the things that I decided a while ago was that my three favorite genres are fantasy, horror, and sci-fi, because both of them have this fantastical element to them, which is great for like pulling things out of your subconscious. We spend half our lives dreaming, right? And people say that your dreams are trying to help you sort out and catalog and understand things that your consciousness is afraid of. Anything that you get afraid of and you traumatize and you stick back in the back, subconscious is still dealing with it.
Yep.
And I always love those three genres because it's sometimes safer to talk about the monster in a different way. So, for me, my attraction to writing is always about, and not just necessarily for myself, but what I think that other people might generally have trouble with understanding about themselves. So I write about going around and around in a labyrinth and being chased by a minotaur until you get to the very center of what it is that's really, really bothering you, what's really driving you. Because the only way to go through that trauma is to accept it and to move through it. And that is so difficult to do. And so when I started writing Datira's Requiem, the first book I wrote unpublished I never intended to write anything really cathartic until I got like the message that I needed to heal my broken heart. So I sat down and wrote Datira's Requiem. And I kind of started to understand this is how it works in writing. And so when I started writing the other books, I started looking at different kinds of trauma and how people dealt with them. But I never wanted to lose my imagination. Ever since I was a kid, I have been in love with incredibly imaginative people like Jim Henson. What's the guy's name that did Pan's Labyrinth? Huge imagination. Puts it on some.
Labyrinth was great.
Yeah. People who do really creative, out-of-box movies. And who write really creatively, like Kurt Vonnegut. People that don't necessarily need they can work with a disjointed narrative, and you still get the sense that there's something really cool and interesting happening with it. Slaughterhouse-Five is about dealing with the trauma of being a prisoner of war in Dresden when it was being firebombed, and it's got aliens in it. So for me, having that ability to into the subconscious and having those imaginative elements come forward and play whatever part I can't make them play in a conscious way without, talking to them indirectly almost makes it easier to bring those things into the light and to start to study them. I mean, like Rowling talked about Voldemort being depression, right? And circling around, trying to find the center of what was, really at the core of what was bothering her and creating, her depression. And
I have thoughts on her, but we're not going to discuss.
yeah,
that.
I know. But I just simply from that, I could have chosen anybody else, but everybody kind of knows that story, right? So, but yeah.
I didn't hear that one. I was thinking of another one, but that goes into a whole different spin tail.
Yeah. Well, like Walt Vonnegut, for example, Slaughterhouse-Five. He's got these. So it's about this guy who's unstuck in time, and he's flashing back and forth between being a prisoner of war in Germany during World War II. And if you don't know, Germany was firebombed. Dresden was firebombed towards the end of the war, and Kurt Vonnegut was actually a soldier, actually a POW in Dresden when it got firebombed. It destroyed the city of Dresden. And it was a very traumatic experience for him. It took him 20 years to write this book. And when he started writing it, he wrote it about this guy who was switching back and forth between different parts of his life. And one part of his life, he was literally abducted by aliens who kept him in a menagerie. I think that was the same one. But anyway, these aliens were shaped like plungers. Metaphorically, he's literally trying to plunge his conscious crap out with these aliens that he's writing about. So like there's just this whole like beautiful healing journey from this incredibly imaginative guy who's very much talking about a very human experience of being caught in a cell while the world around you is exploding, and how he dealt with that. So.
That almost sounded like a really bad adult movie.
I think that he gets into that too. If you haven't read Welcome to the Monkey House, that's an interesting take on a really bad adult movie. Anyway, I'm done.
We don't need to go there anymore. Let's that one.
I will say about what you said about dreams, about what they mean. I will say I've actually delved into dream interpretation, mainly because I have this weird premonition thing where every few months to few years, I have a dream where within a few months to a few years, it becomes reality. It's like a whole big deja vu thing. It's creepy.
Yeah,
like it's happened enough that it actually kind of freaks me out. But I've actually had enough of them that there was one for anyone who knows anybody who looks into dream interpretation. There are some things that are pretty obvious, like black scorpions. They're usually something that is bothering you. Yeah, that was kind of a wake-up call that my dreams were trying to tell me something when I got chased by a horde of them.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like scorpions. I don't like any kind of insect outside of butterfly. So that was beyond terrifying, and that's when I really started to take my dreams seriously. And I noticed after that, it wasn't in Pirates. It was in something else.
Maybe you're a witch.
But, say what?
Maybe you're a witch.
Apparently my birth mom was. Apparently she did that, and I consider myself pagan, so.
Just saying, maybe you're a witch. Just saying.
And I did practice Wicca when I was in high school, but either way, I used to do astral projection.
Woo! I can't do that one. That is hard. I tried. I bought
it easy.
Everything.
I could go into another direction with that, but I will do that some other time. Dream interpretation, I've actually used that over the years to kind of help myself figure out different things. And I noticed after my last one that really opened my eyes, where I was chased by the scorpions, I'm just sitting there like, when I woke up, like, I was chased by the one thing that I'm terrified of, like one of the few things I'm really terrified of. Okay, I gotta look more into this. And I looked into dream interpretation, and so I decided to write that out. Within 3 days, I broke up with my ex, and everything was better. And there was my camera again.
Oh, did you look at it? That's what happens when you look at your cameras.
Nah, this time my hand landed on the desk, and apparently it didn't like that. But no, the dream interpretation, I found that for one, it helps you figure out your own stuff. It helps you figure out what's going on in your own life. I could almost compare it to tarot. Tarot goes almost in a similar direction, but dream interpretation is more specific and I think a lot more personal. At least that's what I've encountered. But I've also noticed that, at least with my own, it really helps me with my stories.
Mm-hmm.
Need a hug, bud? I told you we'll talk. But I've noticed, like, with my own dreams, they've actually helped me through different parts of my stories.
Mm-hmm.
And like what you said about like writing out, like, it, some like parts of the stories can help you work through things.
Mm-hmm.
As you talked to me this past weekend about when I mentioned the end of Pirates and kind of how personal that was.
Yeah.
The final version of that actually helped me, I think, work through the last of the stuff I dealt with my dad.
Mm.
So that, combined with different dreams I've had over the years, just kind of impacted my stories.
Writing's so healing. It can be so
It
healing,
is.
and it's so scary to do on so many different levels.
Yeah.
I think on that note, that writing is healing, I think now is the perfect segue to heal with the writing sprint. So let's
Wish.
hop into
I help.
some writing done. I absolutely love that.
I'm
But-
patting you on the head, Chris. Oh, you moved me. I was going to give him head pats. There we go. A little.
Before we do, real quick, if you're enjoying the stream, follow and subscribe. We're here every day with the Right Now community. Whether you're looking for daily writing motivation, cool writers. I mean, clearly you guys can see, like, I love these conversations. Yeah, so if you're ever feeling unmotivated into the new year, we're here every day. 370 plus streams so far and counting. Whether you're looking for our Wednesday Writers Group, you're looking for our critique show, the podcast, holiday writing events, the Discord, we got it all. And there's more on the way. So make sure to tap those buttons. Or let's say you're already a subscriber, hit that share button. Help us bring more writers to the community, because the more writers we have, as you guys can see, the more conversations and the more we can help each other and grow. All right. So I just wanted to get that real fast. Let me throw everybody up here. Whether you are brainstorming, writing, or editing, that's all part of the process. Come join us. We'll get a writing sprint in, and then we'll check in on our writing after. And I think I am all set. So we got 25 minutes on the clock, and it's time to write now. All right. And we are back after that fun writing sprint. How did that treat you guys? Were you guys able to make any progress?
Mute.
Yeah, Chris, you're muted.
850 words.
Woo!
All
You really
right.
did work something out.
Nice.
Oh, how much
All
did you
just,
get? Did
all
Chris
just
win?
saying what?
No, I was wondering if you won the word count today.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, because I'm just editing today.
Yeah, wow, Chris taking the win.
I was
Usually
just
chat souls here.
and I was just asking, what if this happens? Just throwing ideas out there. So I win.
I got 300 words edited because I'm a slow poke and a poke slow. No, I don't. I
You're
don't know
pokes though.
I'm not. Yeah. I have no idea. Yeah, no, I hate editing. No, I don't. I actually love editing. I just hate how slow I am at it because I sit there and don't ever study poetry, kids. Because you'll obsess about one paragraph and you got like 8 bazillion of them in the whole novel.
I was like, yeah, I think I got like 200 words.
Yay!
There's more editing though.
Yeah, Crystal beat you.
Well,
Do I
it
win a
looks like we got
prize?
some good.
We should
What
get
was that?
prize.
What prize
You get
do I get?
the bragging rights. So out of our 28 meetings so far, I think Soul has taken because we do writing sprints every single meeting. We've done writing sprints every meeting. And of the 28 meetings, I think Soul's taken the word count crown for 26 of them, I believe. I might have gotten one, but I'm pretty sure Soul's gotten 26. And then we've had Courtney 1-1, and then I believe Megan 1-1 as well, I believe.
Yeah, I've only lost 3 times.
Yeah, I guess now is the third time. So Chris, you take the crown for 28. I was like, I feel like we're gonna have to make something. I'm gonna have to make some type of sound effect or something for this.
Yeah. I will probably never win that.
I have a crown now.
I love it.
There you
I love
go.
it.
Perfect.
And it looks like we got some Megan in the chat. 544 words. I did pretty good. I came up with a funny way. ASM takes out one of Tanlin's goons. Always fun when we come up with something clever. Kevin is like 501 words for me. Bethany, a little bit, got some options for scene entry. Sounds like we got some good work here. Megan's like, I had my 1 crown last year. Yeah, which is interesting. Of our 28 meetings so far, Chris, you are the only and the first winner of 2025.
Oh, yes. I'll take it. There's no more writing ever for the rest of the year. I did nothing else.
You won 2025.
I went, yep. No more writing sprints until the end of the year. And until next year. None more.
So I'm glad that we were able to make some progress. Chris, I'm glad you got in the higher word count for us today. Since I know I'm reviewing editing, and it sounds like Soul's editing, and Penelope, you got a little bit in as well. Excellent. Holistic's giving you the cup over here. Always wonderful. So I was asking these guys during the break. I need some feedback on this small section of Scarecrow that I'm working on, because it's a really pivotal moment at this part of the story. So I was going to do a short reading because I just need from you guys, how does it sound? I think I just need to know that it makes sense, because it's kind of setting up the world of the story. It's I just need to I need to know, A, is it clear? And then B, how does it come across? That's my biggest thing. And then I've also put it out there to you guys if you wanted to share feedback as well. I know we've done this on a couple of the writers group meetings. Like when I used to do writers groups in person, there'd be times where everyone would share their writing. But I think in this live stream format, we do it sometimes. It just depends on the meeting. At the end of the day, it's helping anybody here who shows up. Okay, so I have this section of Scarecrow. Let's see, I'll throw the words up on the screen if it makes any difference. But essentially, the characters, Scarecrow's basically in this kind of Scarecrow's kind of in this not dream state, in this like world, like cloud-like world, which is kind of like this. It's like a memory scape. As the last robot, the Tin Wizard, who he finally found, is kind of telling him, sharing with him what's up and why the world is the way it is, and setting him off on this next portion of his journey. I kind of like imagined it as kind of like that like opening moment of Lord of the Rings where, you know, it's like this is like the state of the world, or like those moments in like the Legend of Zelda game where it's like Ganondorf, this is like the evil Ganondorf and this is what's happened. I'm kind of thinking of it like that in terms of a world setting. So here it is. Let me know what you guys think. Scarecrow plummeted through an endless sky of colorfully velvet clouds. The air rushed past, yet he felt nothing. While trying to hold onto his hat, he was reminded of its transparent form as his fingers passed through it. Since the end of humanity, the last robot's voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere all at once. Decades became centuries, centuries became ages. Below, a velvet brown cloud shimmered as an image formed within, like watching a distant story unfold. As Scarecrow fell, he watched images of the demon attacking creators. Some fell, unaware of their demise until it was too late. Others fought back unsuccessfully, while some collapsed onto beds of bloodied crystal formations left in the demon's wake. And ages left humanity, your creators, behind. The speed of the demonic red blur was unmatched, unparalleled, and unforgettable. The cloud passed him by as Scarecrow absorbed the history, recalling none of it and feeling like he was experiencing it for the first time. The first demon. The last robot spoke with growing unease as each word became more magnified and pronounced than the last. Has only grown in power and age, consuming all those around it. The last robot's words grew. Apparently grew something. Those around it. A cloud the color of sunflowers showed animals of all species, shapes, and sizes. Tigers, birds, and squirrels charged at the demon. Even those with a feral nature collapsed upon beds of crystals. The demon grew untouchable. None survived. The cloud passed him by and he continued to fall. He shivered, but not because of the cold. And with the demon came a cloud of pure white rose up to meet him. Within its velvety confines, New City stood tall. The structures were erect, the buildings full, and wildlife peppered all corners of its twists and turns. Howls, caws, and sounds of vibrant animal noises echoed from below. And then the sky erupted in a circular torrent of clouds. A blinding white beam erupted from the heavens and pierced the animal civilization. Left behind was the destruction Scarecrow knew all too well, and silence. Hundreds, maybe even thousands were gone, replaced by the nothingness. Scarecrow kept falling through this clouded space, but it felt like all of the air had been sucked from his body. It was only in that moment he felt terror. He struggled to breathe. How could? What was? Why? My friend left me with protection. Within a deep midnight blue cloud, the betrayer and the last robot peered from atop the tower. With the staff raised high, the betrayer pointed at the sky as a barrier of orange brilliance rose high over the city, shimmering against the chaotic elements from outside. And one clear instruction that might be enough to counteract the demon's magic, should he fail. The betrayer held out a neatly folded quilt, which Scarecrow recognized as none other than Mr. Quilt. However, it looked like any ordinary blanket in the image. He gave me the quilt, which contained the knowledge to traverse the graveyard of the last, where he believed salvation resided. The last robot and the betrayer embraced. The look on that creator's face was resolve, despair, and fear. Before departure, the betrayer picked up a pack, grabbed the staff, and left the ruins of New City behind. The cloud fell out of view as the final image of the last robot peering out from atop the red tower was swept away. That was many rotations ago. His failure must have been inevitable. A grand field of metals and structures rose up to meet Scarecrow. His pace slowed just before gently landing upon the ground. Gray cloud particles formed within the space before him. Within, the last robot sits on the balcony ledge just outside the tower window, gazing down upon the ruins of New City. The unfortunate flaws of my design. His voice spoke heavily as it bounced off every stone and structure unturned. Behind the last robot was the large vial of a golden liquid. A single tube connected from the vial to the robot. Left me tethered to watch the world age and decay. The last robot paced around the room in circles. The flooring was damaged from the amount of pacing, and the tank beside him now 3/4 full. He punched the wall as his arm fell off and rolled lifelessly to the floor. While I attempted to create clever ways to extend my reach, he leaned halfway into the vial and dropped his arm into it. The hand came to life, hopped out of the vial, and gave his owner a thumbs up. And send help. A bear, a tiger, and a jaguar run through the ruined streets of New City. The world's nature had killed hope. They charged the last robot and left him in pieces. So I had to devise tricks and trials to find something worthy. Images appeared of bright flashes between ruins, animals bouncing, hopping, and crawling through traps of fire and destruction. But even that stratagem failed. The last robot sits crumpled in the corner of the room. Most of his body rusted away. The nearby tank is less than 1/4 full of the golden substance. A pair of squirrels sat hunched on the last robot's shoulders. Mr. Crow flew in through the window and perched atop the last robot's head. I had calculated the odds of success was minimal, and I couldn't fail our one chance, one shot, one attempt. Mr. Crow takes the quill, dives out the window, and soars away. The cloud vanishes as Scarecrow realizes the metals of the world around him are melting, and the last robot stands before him. His lights are glorious, magnificent even. His metallic frame feels new, upbeat, and bright. There's a shining brilliance and a profound sadness in those robotic eyes as they gaze at him. Even though Scarecrow has a newfound respect, he shivers at this newfound feeling of vulnerability. Scarecrow, you failed to find the tower without assistance. A cloud of Scarecrow, hand and foot, running toward New City flashed by. You failed to defeat your obstacles alone. A cloud of Scarecrow nearly being killed by a monstrosity in the market flashed by. And you failed when confronted with fear. A cloud of Scarecrow facing fire as he froze up flashed by. The last robot approached him and planted a hand on his transparent shoulder. It felt cold and distant. Scarecrow gazed into those shiny golden eyes. But if you do nothing. The last robot's features lit up in the most brilliant display of colors and lights he'd ever witnessed. Nothing happens. Scarecrow looked on in awe, uncertain even what he was experiencing. The world flashed around them. Scarecrow stood once again in the tower back in his body. And hope dies with despair. The words echoed in his mind. On the ground, the last robot's lights were no more, as its head rolled down the rubble to land at his feet, lifeless. Scarecrow fell to his knees and cried.
That's cool.
End reading.
I really like how you did that. I mean, like, I totally got what you were doing with the montages and the clouds. I mean, it was obvious what you were doing. Is that what you were asking? Is it just, does that part make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think because that's this part of the story is like kind of one of the first, I think it's the first like true emotional, I would say it's the most deeply probably emotional moment so far in the story. This is about beginning of Act 2. But it's also kind of setting up the world because so far it's Scarecrows and Crow are going through a land of crazy things happening, but we don't really have any explanation of what's going on until we reach this character. So that's kind of like the world setup.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think it accomplishes that. I think that if you want Scarecrow to have a more emotional response, you could probably build up some emotion maybe halfway through for him, like start to feel things like gasp or, like be taken aback or things like that. If you wanted to build up to that whole, like when he falls on and starts crying, because he's essentially watching, like, I guess what happened and how everything went totally wrong. Right. So I build up the emotion a little bit more throughout just lace it in a little bit to that last so that we know he's starting to have, because I mean, you're using words like that. I don't know. Sometimes maybe I'm just like, I just need it obvious so I know what's going on.
That's not a bad idea at all.
But yeah, I mean, but like, as far as like understanding what was going on, I thought it was really clever to have it almost because, clouds are made of water and water is a reflective surface. So you've almost got like these projected images kind of coming through on these clouds that are shifting. I mean, that's a really ambitious idea. And you've got, I understood what it was going on. So you've got it. Yeah. Anybody else want to chime in on that? I thought it was cool.
I felt like it was cool. When you said a cloud, that memory clouds fly by. The image I got was actually almost like a projection onto a cloud, but that's just me. But but also I think that all the projections that he saw, was that things that happened in Act 1?
No, none of that. That was all brand new information to the reader.
Oh,
There was a couple moments. So in the things where he's like, you failed this obstacle, those three, like that paragraph was things that had happened in Act
Okay.
1. The rest of it, like the world building, the demon stuff, that was all new information.
Because some of it I got a little confused on, but I didn't know how many. I don't know. I didn't know how many readings you've done. I didn't know where we were in the story. I didn't know how many times you've because you've been writing this for like a year, you said, and I'm like, I thought you were last December. I was like, oh, is he done? And now it just kind of like I think I was a little lost about where you wanted to put this. So I think I just got a little lost there, but that's just kind of
understandable. This is about, I want to say it's probably about 30% of the way into the book. Currently, I'm in the middle of the second draft of it right now.
Got it. But no, yeah, I just, I mean, it was descriptive. I'd probably have to read it again, but
Understandable.
I'm kind of with Chris. Excuse that. I kind of have to reread through that again, kind of get a feel for like a little bit before it to get a little more context, but the imagery was neat.
Yeah.
I love scenes like that. Because you've read my stuff. Penelope got to hear some of my emotional stuff this weekend.
I did. I enjoyed it.
I could easily picture what was happening. I could easily picture the emotions going on in that moment.
Okay.
But I gotta admit, I noticed some errors in like the wording that were kind of driving at me. So it was that was a little distracting.
I don't know why the image of. Do you remember? I didn't watch all the series, but do you remember? I think it was in Loki when he's falling for like 25 minutes, and he's like, "I've been falling for 25 minutes." Like I kind of got the image of the last Scarecrow like floating somewhere and just kind of like doing nothing. So I don't know if that was like, I don't know why I might have got in a sentence or out of a sentence or something, but it wasn't him doing what Loki did, but it was just more of him just kind of like floating in this never-ending tunnel. I don't know why I got that image, but I just, again, it might have been just because I was not lost a little bit kind of thing.
I feel like there must have been a part before that section where you explained that he was transparent for a reason.
Yes. Yeah. I did. Yep. That was set up.
I feel like he got sucked out of his body. He astrally projected into this realm and he started falling.
That is actually what, yep.
Voices talking to him and these clouds are swirling around him and he's watching the robot who has lived through all of this explain what's going on. And like, so he gets all the build up for the demon and the nothingness. And then he kind of lands and then the robot explains what's happening to him. So you see this, you almost see like the world decaying in reverse, I think, starting out new and then going back. And then it kind of goes back to he's new again. And then like, I felt like there was a little bit of a doop, 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 where I expected him to be new and shiny at the beginning. And then he kind of opened his eyes and he was like, presented himself exactly as he had been before, right before he like degrades into this. I was expecting the squirrels to be nesting in his like chest or something like that. I thought that was all very cool. But yeah, I mean, I liked the ending a lot when he just kind of, that's my story, like it's like, oh, poor robot.
Poor robot. Last one in the world.
I also think that's another thing. I also think I got a little confused a little bit too, because you kept calling him the last robot when your story is the last Scarecrow. So I think I got a little bit like, who is he talking about a little bit, and it just kind of like that was a little bit confusing for me as well.
Okay, it's really good to know. So that first off, thank you all. That was some really, really great feedback. I think the way that you guys perceived this kind of like memory scape with the clouds, Penelope, Chris, you guys kind of had two different variations of it. There's no right or wrong way there. I think I leave that idea up to the reader, which I'm actually happy with. I think so on the word stuff and on the wording things, mistakes, I'm not surprised because this is technically a second draft, but I kind of like had to rework parts of this. So there are definitely errors there for sure. And then in terms of the confusing part, or like parts of it being confusing, I was like, yeah, that totally could happen with where they're at in the story. Yeah. Okay. But that was all good feedback. Thank you, and especially with the robot stuff too. Awesome. Thanks all for listening. Like I said, if there was anything that you guys wanted to share or find to go through it,
Good
we're
for
not.
now.
Huh?
I think I'm good for now. So, well, no, I'm not going to. I'm not ready.
I could read a bit of the Love Spell Murders if anybody wants to listen.
You'd go for it.
Anyway, so Perry ran his hand through his take two.
All right.
Okay, this is the Love Spell Murders. This is they visited this neighbor the day before. Perry Lockhart and Alara Monroe, two detectives investigating these ritualistic murders. They had visited this neighbor looking for the police photographer who they think are up to some naughty shenanigans. And she said he left town. And then she called him that morning, Perry that morning, and said that something was going on in his apartment. So they're at the butt crack of dawn. Alara hasn't gotten coffee yet, which is never a good idea. All right. Perry ran a hand through his uncombed hair. Can you explain to my partner what you told me on the phone about the commotion in Ricky Anderson's apartment? Barbara Collins stood in her doorway, wrapped in the same pink chenille housecoat and wearing the same set of hair rollers as yesterday. This morning, her nervous hands twisted a tissue until it began to fray while she occasionally ground her teeth, chewing on nothing in the absence of her bubblegum. Ricky was leaving. She cast a worried glance towards his door as if she felt the ghost of some awful event lingering. There shouldn't have been any cavorting going on over there. She looked at Perry. Half an hour ago, I heard a loud thump. I snuck down the hall and went to the door to listen. I thought maybe Ricky was getting robbed. Alara rolled her head back, rubbing the kink in her neck. Always the dramatics with this one, she thought. I tell you what, I heard gurgling, moaning, and that stampede I told you about. So I snuck back to my apartment and I called you. Barbara's eyes widened. I got a real bad feeling. You think he's been murdered? Alara's head snapped forward. You called us because you heard someone having sex in Ricky's apartment and you got a bad feeling about it? Are you sure that feeling wasn't jealousy? Perry shot his partner a narrow-eyed gaze. Forgot how pleasant you were before coffee. No, Barbara said, arms crossing. I called because I told you the apartment was supposed to be empty, and it ain't. Fine. Alara's eyes shifted to Perry. Do we need to wait for the judge to sign off on the warrant now? Chief says we're clear if he's got a reason to suspect Ricky's got some splaining to do, Perry said. Grab a compass and we'll peel back the layers of this onion. Barbara scowled at Perry. Young man, do you know how many metaphors you just slaughtered? Perry grinned. Not a crime, last time I checked. Waking a detective at dawn without a good reason might be. Somebody was in there, Barbara insisted, slapping her bunny-slippered foot on the welcome mat. Indecent things were happening. He may be dead. Perry cast a glance at the door, then back at Barbara. Well, it's quiet now. It's not even Ricky's apartment, Barbara added. It's Jason Thompson's. He sublet it to Ricky before he left Europe. Perry resisted the urge to roll his eyes. Barbara, are you sure Jason hasn't come back early? I'm friends with Jason on my face. He posted last night. He was drunk and taunting bulls in Spain. Trust me, he's not flying anywhere. I always root for the bull, Alara muttered. Grab the battering ram. I can see why you'd root for the bull, Perry said. Battering ram? You're all action, no subtlety. Me? He waved the lockpick he pulled from his pocket with a smirk. I prefer finesse. That's what I edited. I have a question. So if you're doing a scene change and you're only moving ahead in time like 5 minutes, should you just do an extra return or do you need the dinkus?
You need to put a break.
Mhm.
Put the dinkus in there? All right. I never know because like
Otherwise you chance getting the reader confused unless you're doing something like unique with your story and the reader is
Not this
clear.
time.
Okay, this is the thing. Yeah, I would.
Okay, because the next line is, here's one for you, Alara said as she waited for Perry to pick the lock. So there's been a slight gap in time.
I mean, you could do a scene break, or you could just do a sentence. Alara and Perry finish talking to her, and
I can never write those sentences.
You can do that as well.
They never come to me.
She continued to ramble on as Alara and Perry left her behind and stopped to go pick the lock. You could do that as well.
I like that because it's not like they're changing locations or ML.
Yeah, because it's not really that much of a scene break, but it is kind of, since you're skipping the end of the conversation. I think that might be better for that particular scene.
I have to say they walk down the hall. There's Barbara's door.
Or Mr. Sexy Cop.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm getting questions if I'm okay. So hold on for just a second.
Oh, okay.
The fire.
Apparently, there's a new one. So
Oh.
everyone's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "As far as I know, hold on, guys."
Did anybody have any comments or did anything stick? I'm doing this is my final draftiness. So if you see anything.
I was very entertained by it. Once again, I love the two characters, and I think that their conversation and exchange once again was fun. I was like, I don't think there was anything that stood out on listening that time that was that didn't work for me.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as much fun this time. Like Barbara was so fun the first day when she was just like being the nosy neighbor from hell. And now she's like all legit scared that like the guy got murdered in there. They're just like, whatever, no Barbara.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is this the second time that they're talking to Barbara? Or is
it's right before they go into Ricky's apartment.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
I did tell you
like her first introduction is great.
Yeah, and I ended up cutting the entire. So like there was that scene where it was like that whole like it was like a heist movie condensed into like 20 paragraphs or something like that, and you're like, doesn't need to be there, and so I cut it out, and I was just like, no, it doesn't. But then my chapter was only like 1,000 words long, so I had to BS with Barbara a bit longer. But yeah, poor Mr. Sex. That's right. Sorry, I'm not Gur Martin bad, but I am pretty bad. I only kill the characters people really like, apparently. Soul, did you have anything you want to share?
Honestly, you kind of spazzed out a little bit in the middle, like your sound stopped. So I missed like a few lines, but it did sound good though.
Oh, thanks. Good. My sound spaz.
I liked your acting skills.
Oh, thank you.
Acting skills.
I'm really wondering if I should just read this audiobook myself. Like, unless Coffin wants to come in and play Perry.
Woo! Oh, I'd love it. I want to record all the audiobooks, and then I can add that as another thing I can do for the community. That's actually really awesome. I love that.
Well,
granted, I wouldn't be able to do it myself. I'd have to get like a group of others who'd want to do audio with me. But I mean, maybe that's an opportunity. I don't know. I mean, recording it. I don't know what it costs for paying for professional audiobook services.
I know.
I feel like it's a necessary thing.
On any of these things, have you ever done a read through with people on your lives? If anybody would want to.
Wait, when you say a read through with people, what do you clarify?
Like if you wanted to present like the first chapter or like for a pilot or whatever, you actually say you read this person, you read that person, you read this person,
that would be fun.
and then do it through the stream. Although I don't know what people would want to have that out there on the world.
Oh, I don't care.
So essentially
I think that'd be great.
It's almost like a stage reading.
Table read. A table read.
Like,
yeah.
a table read.
I'm
that
gonna
is,
put
that's a
that
table read.
together for the Love Spell Murders. I
That
love
would
that
work.
idea.
That would work very well for scripts. For novels, books that could work. It's
Might do
not something that I've tried doing with others before. I think the closest actually we got to that was Soul when we did Hermes the Cat, because
Yes.
we were both reading through sections of it. I think that's the closest I've gotten onto the stream. But I mean, if it was something people wanted, I'm always open to trying out new things. I'm totally open to trying out new things. I think then the questions I ask myself is then what types of stories do we read, or what things do we read? I guess what would people be interested in, and then who's going to read the things with me, right? So who's going to make the time commitment of joining me on a stream to read stuff?
I would
And it's
love
just the
that.
things that come call out to me. Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
I
I mean, you guys already
volunteer.
know I love acting. You guys know I love
Yeah.
acting. out things.
We're only
Yeah.
allowed to read stuff about dragons. That's all we're all.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm all for it. We're doing it tomorrow. Dragon reading.
only
I-
allowed to read stuff about dragons.
I love that. I actually like for a couple different reasons. I love that
Because
idea.
if there's a
you-
problem with it, you got to put a dragon on it.
hmm
Dragon
If you do
stickers
that-
only available now.
available in store.
Available now in the YouTube Right Now store.
Grab your stickers. So if you do that, I totally would be on board for like doing even a cold read, because I really, really enjoy the heck out of reading stuff out loud. For mine, I think it would be fun if I read the narrator's part and then I had like a couple of people who would do the cast. I think that would be really cool too. I'm going to experiment with that. I'm going to steal that idea. I'm going to take it to Aether and Ink and see if I can do like a
see how it works out. You're
Yeah.
like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a cool idea.
because I'm not Soul. I only have like 2 characters per scene, maybe 3. Soul can keep so many characters like on the page, and I'm just like, man, I gotta make this. There's 3 of them, and Barbara, you know what? It's too much, Barbara. Go over there and stand in the hallway. But yeah, no, I think that if I could just get a couple of people on board, that would be fun. It'd be a great way to get the story out there too.
And you think reading through it like through like a novel and doing as just casting narrator and then characters?
Oh yeah, I think that'd be fun. Well, like just for like,
I mean, essentially that's an audio drama. I mean, that's essentially which I think professional services generally do. I mean, that'd be cool. I mean, yeah, that'd be really interesting.
I'd wanted to do like more of an audio drama presentation of the Love Spell Murders audiobook anyway. Make it like sound effecty and music and things like that. So like I think it would be fun to experiment with it and just see how it comes. And I think that'd be a good way to get it in front of people, because it's difficult to peddle your stuff when it's really weird to people. So like I think it's easier if you just like read some of it aloud and have people hear it and decide at that point. And I've also got so many point of view chapters in the very beginning. I thought it would be easier if I got each of the characters to do like a different voice for each of the characters at the beginning and put those out as audio chapters on like YouTube or something like that.
I'm like looking online, and this is just the initial AI response, because I was curious. I'm like, how much does it cost for professional audiobook services?
How much is it?
And of course, on one end, you
$8
think like,
million.
okay, it's just me recording. But I think when we think about all the different aspects of it, of pre-production, production, post, which is really editing and fixing, and there's a lot more elements that go into it. But what's your guys' guess? How much do you think it costs on average?
$8 million.
All right. So Chris, $8 million. All right. And Soul, Penelope, what do you guys think?
I see.
I
I think I saw an average of like 1,200.
Okay.
Anywhere between for the whole thing, like somebody else to record it and edit it and things like that. Oh God, I wouldn't even want to. I do my own editing. I use Audacity. $5,000 ish.
All right, let's see what we got. So what it did is it gave me hourly ranges.
Okay.
I was like, shoot. I was like, let's see if I can. I was like trying to make the screen bigger. There we go. So it says, how much does it cost for professional audiobook services? The cost of hiring a narrator can range from $500 to $750 per finished hour of content. The cost of post-production, which includes editing, proofing, and mastering, can start around $75 per hour and rise above $200 per finished hour. let's see. Hiring both a narrator and a producer can cost an additional $300 to $400 per finished hour.
Jeez. Wow. I'm not in the
Uh,
right form of money making endeavors right now.
No, right? Like,
And it
Wow.
says
I
that
actually
the
have an account on
industry-
ACX, but I've yet to actually find anything.
Now I
says
need
the
to-
industry standard for a finished hour of audiobook narration is about $250 per finished hour.
wow.
And I'm like, I don't know how long is that
10 to 20
10
hours.
hours, you think? Yeah.
10 to 20
So that's
hours.
what 2, 4, 6, 8. That's what 1,000, 2,000. So based off this, so let's say a 50,000 word novel. This is what, about 2 to 3 grand. If you're looking at higher, 4 to 6 grand
Yeah.
for professional services.
Just give me 2 of those and I'll be good.
Yeah, they'll all start coming in. But that's interesting because I mean that probably includes all of obviously the voice cast, and then I don't know if sound effects is a thing. But
Okay.
interesting.
Sound effects is interesting because I did actually, the book that I wrote, the secret number 6 book of the series that I wrote already, I recorded it and I did a sound effects for it and things like that. But I use sound effects like from the British BBC's library, which they offer for free as long as you're not like trying to sell anything. But if you're using it commercially, it costs like $5,000 for the license. So you really get into like commercial licensing with sound effects libraries, and that can add up super fast. So
It's kind of interesting. It makes me ask myself if we could do something that's for the Right Now community. I wonder if there's a way to do something that's more cost effective and that's accessible. That's interesting.
Yeah, I just sent a message through this, but I actually managed to make a podcast for school last year. It was a 1 chapter of a lit RPG that I wrote. There were 5 different voices, the narrator, and a few different characters. It was just me. I used a program to change my voice,
nice.
and it actually turned out not half bad. I'll send you guys the link to it.
Yep.
It
Okay,
was
awesome.
decentish. I need to work on it because the Chrono Forged sounded weird. I really need to change those. It's a made up race that I designed.
Okay, I was like, the what? The hoodie waddy?
Yeah, it was actually based off a D&D campaign that I designed, but I didn't want to accidentally go into plagiarism, so I had to redesign almost every single race, and I ended up creating like this steampunk like version of humans that I just ended up calling Chrono Forged.
Oh, Chrono Forged. I like the name. Like Time Forged.
I had fun creating them.
They sound cool. Like they sound like I want to hang out with those guys. The Chrono Forged ones. Forged in the fires of Chronos. I enjoyed like in this like if we're looking for like sporadic writing advice, like so reading my book out loud and recording it, like read your book out loud if you want to catch all your tiny little mistakes because
I always highly recommend that as well.
Yes.
That's something I
Absolutely.
need to work on because I don't do that, and I need to
You
do
gotta
that.
I always think
before you
I
hit
think
the
it's
publish
powerful to do that either before you send it off to an editor, which depending on writing skill level is anywhere between drafts 3 to 10, depending on how often you go through a full draft, or before you send for a final proofread. Before you send or do a final proofread. I think those are the 2 times that you should do a full read through. And I think it's actually probably very healthy to print it out. If most of us are writing on a computer, I assume, seeing it on a different format makes a huge difference. It really does. So I think seeing it on a different format, hearing it in a different format will help you catch things you didn't recognize. Because we also have to think about our readers. Readers are going to be reading on their phones, on tablets, on computers, on audio. Readers are going to be in the car, at work, at school, with family, like all the things. So I think taking into mind all the different types of experiences where readers will be consuming your story can be helpful.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with that, printing it out as well. What I did was I'd grab a red pen and I'd print out a chapter and I'd go down to the park and hang out and just reread it. Then I went home and recorded it And then I listened to it, and I would still catch like one or two things at the very end. But if you want like a really well polished, and that's right before I wouldn't do that too early, like all of those things at once, like early, because I think that's more of a fine-tuned proofread. Like the final one of the, for me anyway, it was like the final thing. But if you're stuck on something, or if something doesn't sound right, read it aloud.
Mm-hmm.
Just the passage, even that'll help you. It just sounds different when you're reading it aloud than when you're just reading it in your head. All very good advice. 100.
Yeah, I actually just recently found, I cannot believe it took me this long. I found the speak feature on Word document. And I actually had it read the first 2 chapters of Burning Ember out, and I actually caught like 3 different errors within the first page that I hadn't noticed before. And it wasn't like a typo. It was just a few words I used too close together, and it sounded awkward when it was actually read aloud.
Well, we look at our documents so much as we just have to look at it in a different way and hear it, whatever. It's just a lot.
Yeah, and also anybody who uses Scrivener, that also has a read aloud function too. You're right though, like there's, I mean, like just the different ways that it's presented even, or like Kaufman reading it aloud really made my work sound a little bit different to me. Like I liked it better. I liked Glenn so much better after you read the introduction.
Kaufman will read anything
I
aloud.
literally, like, I was like, I wrote that. It sounds so good. Like,
Which is why I always recommend everyone should submit to the critique show.
Mhm.
I think I always pack it, or I always advertise the critique show as getting feedback, but I don't think I always push as much the vocal experience of just hearing your work out loud. So everyone should submit. Absolutely. I love reading this stuff, and everyone loves talking about it. And I'm like going to definitely be thinking about, Chris, your recommendation of reading through a story or a script. Interesting to me.
Just wonder, or even just like you said, like you mentioned, it was it's hard to see what it would be like reading a novel out loud, like a read through, a table read, but just like even. I know that, and I'm going to start doing this a little bit myself, but even when people go live on like TikTok or sometimes they'll just read their book. So if you even just want to come on one of your lives when you're like, I don't feel like writing today, but I'm going to read you The Last Scarecrow, and you guys can let me know what you think, and just like read like 4 chapters.
Story time.
I wonder what, I mean, that might be a better variation of story time. Actually, I did a story time segment, a couple storytime episodes last year when I did what was that, fourth wing? I did the first couple chapters of fourth wing.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was all right. It was like there was some engagement around it, but I wonder if it would be more a different experience reading through, like doing story time with other people.
Yeah, I think that would be. I just realized I'm kind of doing that with Aether and Ink though, because I'm having my guest read excerpts. Like I had Soul read some of Pirates last time.
It'd be something cool to try, like maybe reading through excerpts with them.
Well, yeah, like actually,
that'd be really interesting.
Well, because I'm gonna cut all the audio out and start doing like just a radio channel, and so that people can just tune in and listen to like different stories and different writers. So, but yeah, I mean that's kind of, I always thought that was such a cool way to present your story, and we've got this thing called the internet and all of these apps and programs that allow you to do all this magical, crazy stuff. And you can do your story in so many different forms. I'm really intrigued by experimenting with like reading it aloud because I love to hear authors read their own work. I think it sounds so neat. Like they just land on the right notes, you know. But also like if I'm crocheting, I can't read a book. I need or if I'm playing my big mouth eating the world game, I need I can't be reading at that time. And sometimes I don't know. It's just I sometimes I'll play, like I used to play The Hobbit and like the audiobook of it, and then I'd turn on one of those crackling like those YouTube crackling fireplace, you know, and for like an hour, and I'd turn so I'd be sitting in front of the fire listening to The Hobbit in front of the crackling glow of the fireplace, and it was
hot chocolate.
Yes, exactly. It was just like so lovely. Like it was so special to be able to experience the book like that outside of reading it. So I don't know. I think that there's something really cool about people who read their work aloud. I love the idea of doing like a table reading for it too. If you've got like just a narrator and like a couple of actors to do the pieces for fun, I think that just sounds cool.
Yeah, I agree. So I think these are some absolute great ideas. Clearly something that we're going to be thinking about. And then if we do something, Sol, Penelope, Chris, I think we're all going to have to do it together because this sounds like a really fun idea. But you know what? More ideas to think about, my friends. Very, very cool. And I know talking about audiobooks, like it's a whole other conversation. And audiobooks are important. I'm of the belief if you're coming out with a book, paperback, audio, hardcover. You should do all formats. I know it's not always feasible for people, but I am of the belief let readers read in the way that they want to consume things.
Do you know? I know that. No, it's a different format. Never mind. I think I just answered my own question. I was wondering, with an ISBN number, the digital version and the physical copy are two different ISBNs, and I was gonna say can use the same one for an audio, but that just answered my question because you have to use 3. So.
Yeah. If you're selling it, like I think that the ISBN is, so I didn't print the ISBN on the back of Dateros because I'm not selling it anywhere but my own website. I just wanted it to have it like, okay, this is in case something else happened later and I got like, people wanted to read it buy it through Amazon or whatever. But but like I wanted to have it like legitimately like be a copy of a book with an ISBN number. So yeah.
We broke Penelope. She lost her train of thought. We broke her. Uh-oh. I broke her. Oh no.
Oh, I didn't put it on. I didn't put it on the back because you only need it if you're using like a barcode or if it's going to be cataloged in like Barnes and Noble's computer. Jeez. How long was I gone?
For a minute.
Yeah, Penelope, your screen just froze up, right?
That was right. That's very kind of you.
Because I gave my ISBN on. I don't like mine's just digital right now. My plan is to make all the individual episodes digital, and then when I get the 12 combined into one, that will be the printed one.
Ooh, yep, that makes sense.
And that'll still be digital as well, but that also saves me ISBN, so I don't have to make 25 different ISBNs.
Yeah, it's that gets pricey fast, right?
So that's why I figured I'd just do all digital for the beginning, and then when I do the collection, I can do this for a collection, and that's the book that can be printed, and I can do 2 ISBNs there instead of do 24 and then 25, and then it's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of numbers, and Chris does not do numbers very well, so that's a lot of numbers. So we're just gonna.
That makes a lot of sense, though. Yeah, just keeping it all separate, and then doing
saves
like
paper
on the bus or whatever.
And saves paper.
And saves. That's right. And saves money, and that is all good. I've heard saving money is a good thing.
Really?
Yeah, I cannot. I'd rather spend it honestly on like.
Yeah, see, I've heard the exact opposite. I think.
Now I'm trying to spend it on who do I want to play Alara in my book? Like which actress am I going to hire with all of my invisible money to play Alara? Oh my god, I don't know. I really okay. Question for the group: your main character. Who do you want, and whatever you're currently working on, who do you want to play them in the film version?
Someone from the Disney Channel or from Nickelodeon.
Ooh.
I don't know who it would be because I don't really watch a lot of those shows right now.
Good question.
Dude, I think Nicolas Cage would make a great last Scarecrow.
That's probably true.
Well, I mean, they're going to be CGI. I mean, I imagine they'll be CGI, so you're probably not going to recognize who they are,
right?
Regardless. It's a good question. I mean, who's a good actor at knowing that they can play through a CGI?
Whoever played Gollum.
There you go. Andy
Andy Serdark. Yeah, Circus.
Andy Serkis, yeah.
I will say back in 2013 when I created my web series, when it was just in script form, it was just us guys. It was about a gay dad and a straight son, and the gay dad, I envisioned Kerr Smith all the time. The from Dawson's Creek, the gay guy from Dawson's Creek. I envisioned him being the dad the whole time.
I was thinking Brandon.
That was 10 years ago, though. So I don't know who would play him now. But
I know who should play Duncan, but I can't remember Brandon. Nobody knows
I don't think I thought there were any actors for Scarecrow because they're just like, I'm like, it's all gonna be CGI. Like,
I know who should play the Scarecrow. The really thin guy. He was like the
thin guy.
The thin tall guy. That's the dude that you never see because he's always in makeup.
No.
Nope.
I know who I'm talking about.
He's really skinny. He was in all those weird comedies for a minute. He was he came out as gay recently, like in the last 5 years.
Loki. There we go. Holistics, like who should play Scarecrow? Loki. Tom Hiddleston.
Oh, who is this guy? Crap.
I just sent the name. I think I'm wrong though.
Who? What?
I just sent you a name, but I think I might be wrong.
Hold on, I lost this. Let's see.
Oh my god, I would love Neil Patrick Harris. I don't know if he's a Scarecrow type.
Okay, so
I don't think he's a Scarecrow type, but he can be in the movie. He can be in the movie. He'll be great.
I've only cast one character in my movie. That is. Oh my god! Now I sound like you guys really did break me. I should know this one.
Guys, the real question is who should be the voice of the eccentric Mr. Crow?
Robert Downey Jr.
There we go. All right. Perfect.
Yeah.
I approve.
Yeah. Oh, and Perry is played by Val Kilmer. Absolutely.
Love it. Love it. He'll like be in all his like perfect like masculinity. He'll just be like embody.
I'm flamboyant. Perfect. I love it. I love you, Perry.
I've lost the name. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know how to explain it. Who he is.
What movie is he in?
I don't remember. It was like the last guy or like the funny guy or something. He had like this weird eye thing that he did in a Twitch in the movie, and he just like looked at people and made them do stuff. It was a comedy though. It wasn't magic. It was a stupid comedy, almost like in like the old like like when Deadpool guy was always kind of doing those dumb comedies back then. It was like in that range of area.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds. Okay.
Yeah, so Ryan Reynolds was doing all those dumb comedies like way before. It was around that time, but I don't know what his name was.
You'll think of it eventually.
It's not. I should only speak when I have the name in front of me. Sorry.
Well, Chris, I think what you'll have to do is when you think about it, you have to go drop it in the Discord. So that way our community can know what it is, because you'll probably think about it after the stream.
Exactly.
This is that time of the stream to wrap up. This has been an absolutely great session today. We've talked about quite a number of things, a lot of media, a lot of fan favorites today. Voice actors, audiobooks, fears. We actually went through a good range and got some writing in. So I just want to thank everyone for coming into the stream, joining us for the 28th session, the 28th meeting of the WriteNow Writers Group. We'll be back next Wednesday. So I think you'll probably be back next Wednesday. I think after 28 meetings, I can count on you. Penelope, Chris, hopefully you guys will join us again. We'll continue on to meeting number 29 next Wednesday. I'll be back on tomorrow for another daily writing sprint. I think the time is TBD because I'm doing some maintenance and moving stuff here. So that's what I got for tomorrow. And so that's I'll be back for tomorrow. Thanks all for joining us. It's been a great session.
Yes.
With that
Thank you
being
for having
said,
us.
that brings us to the end of the stream. I'm Kaufman, and this is
Chat Soul.
and
Chris.
That is
I don't know.
perfect.
That's your microphone.
I was still researching, so I didn't know you were yeah.
I'm Penelope Hartley.
And we'll catch you on the next stream.
Right now.
Right
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Because it's time to write now.